Welcome to Ephemera Files by Tommy, and this is my Tag Tuesday this week. This is the tag that I am going to share how I created. It is a triple pocket tag. Try saying that 3 times fast, or even 1 time relatively slowly. And this tag has 3 pockets. There's 1 pocket, another pocket, and another pocket. So let's make this tag together. The first thing I did was pick out my paper, and I am going to use this green. I seem to have been using a lot of pink and orange lately, and so I am going, not pink and orange, pink. This was orange. I've been using a lot of pink lately. So let's go with something almost the opposite. Let's go with green. And I am going to cut that down to a 5x6 piece of paper, because it is going, my tag is going to be 2.5 inches wide, 6 inches long. So I'm going to cut, this is the direction I want this to go. So I'm going to cut that at 5 inches and this way at 6. Then the next thing I am going to do, and you don't have to make it at 6 inches. After you have watched this video and determined how you are going to do your card, you can make it much longer if you like. I would say 6 inches is going to be the minimum. And I'm going to fold this card in half and burnish that edge down. And then the first thing we need to do is cut our tops here so that everything is all aligned before we start messing with anything where it could get out of whack. So I am going to go ahead and take my decorative corner punch. And this is just a different way to make tags because you don't always have a width that is going to work. You know what? I think I cut that at, I cut it at just a little wider. I actually cut that at 2 3/4, but that's okay. It'll still work. After I cut the 2 corners here, I'm going to take my 1/4 inch punch and just punch my hole at the top. I think that is what determines if it's a tag, is if there's a hole at the top. I don't know for sure, but it seems to me that that's the defining factor. Take my corner rounder and round off these 2 bottom corners. And then we're going to do the step that creates these pockets. I guess I could do that a little slower. We're going to create these 3 pockets that the tags will slide into. And for this, I have a, let's see, that's my 1/4 inch. So this is going to be my 1/8 inch hole punch. I don't know if I can get that to where you can see it, but it's an 1/8 inch hole punch. And the first thing I'm going to do is align this right here so that I can make sure that I am square. And then I'm going to take some washi tape. You can use any kind of, let's see, what is it? Some places have something called mint tape. You can use some masking tape. Just make sure that you don't use the straight on masking tape, that you pat it on your arm or a desk table so that it doesn't have quite as much tack as it normally would. And you want to be able to hold this in place because this next step is important. This is going to be on the inside of the tag, so it probably won't matter that you mark on it I, however, have a disappearing ink marker. And what I'm going to do is, my tags are 2.5 inches. Let's see, no, they are 1.5 inches, and I want at least 1/4 inch on either side. So that's 2 inches. And since this tag I cut just a little larger, I cut it at 2 3/4, I'm going to come in 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, so 1/2 inch is going to be here, and what I do is I line up my ruler with this line here and this line here, and I simply draw down. Again, this isn't going to show. You don't have to use a disappearing ink pen. You can use a pencil or a pen or anything that's not going to bleed through and show to the other side. And I'm going to use those as my outside edges of my circles. Next, I am going to come up 1/2 inch to, I'm going to say actually 1 inch. On this one, I came up 1 inch. I would say 1 inch at the very least, maybe even more. And that is going to be on this line here. And I'm just going to draw across. And then your others, my other lines are 1.5 inches. So I'm going to come up 1.5 inches and draw across, and 1.5 inches and draw across. You can adjust these measurements after you have gotten used to what you want to do, where you would like your pockets to be, how deep you would like them to be. Now we are going to lift this up, and I am going to, somebody said that if you pull this toward the edge instead of from the edge, you have less chance of ripping your cardstock, your scrapbook paper, whatever you are using. And I've discovered that that works really well. I'm going to use my 1/8 inch punch, and I'm going to punch on this side of this line. I don't want to go to the inside, I want to go to the outside of it. And I want to center it on the line that's going across. See how I punched right there? And I'm going to do that for these 3 intersections. Then to do the other side, I'm going to fold it with the printed portion of my paper on the inside. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to punch centered toward the outside. Centered on this line toward the outside of this line. There we go. Yes, there are now holes on this side. We will take care of that in just a bit. Now you'll want to turn your card this direction. And I'm going to line it up on my mat. If you don't have a mat, just make sure that you have a way of keeping it aligned so that you've got straight sides and straight measurements. Because for this part, I'm going to take my ruler, and I have a We Are Memory Keepers knife here. You can use an X-Acto knife or a slice knife. Anything you've got that will work. I think that Fiskars even has the finger knife. And we're just going to this side of that line. We want to make sure and keep part of the circle intact, so don't go to the outside of the circle. You don't need that much of a slot. I like to go just to this side of that purple line. And I think maybe that is just, I don't know that affects usability as much as I just like that look. And I would rather make multiple passes than push too hard and rip my paper instead of cutting it. Now I move to the other side of that line, and so that's going to be like a 1/16 of an inch. And then repeat. And sometimes that one pass will get you done. All right, and we're going to repeat that for these other 2 slots. All right, did you see me catch that knife? I just about flipped it right out of my hands. That was slightly scary. All right, so now we are going to pull these up. And remember to pull your washi tape toward the outside of your paper. You have less chance of ripping it, ripping your paper. Now, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this. Maybe, there we go. All right, I wasn't sure about that one because it was both directions. It would have been to the outside edge. All right, now the next step is going to be gluing. You need to be careful how you glue this portion. You can glue around the hole, around your decorative edges, and you can glue this whole upper section here, okay? If you have made another slot up here, then just stay above your top slot. That's the easiest way to remember. Stay above the top slot. And then you can come down these sides as well. Make sure you stay on the outside of the dots that you just drew, or poked right there, those hole punch spots. Now, the bottom, you just want to go straight across the bottom because that's your bottom pocket. And then go straight across the bottom here. And again here. That is going to seal your pockets. I have the Tim Holtz, let's see, what are they called? The one with the multiple slots. I guess I should have saved the packaging and looked to see what it was called. I'll look that up and I'll try to remember to link it in the comments. And I like those except for, I don't like that they're open all the way through. I like to have it closed. So after you get that glue on there, go ahead, smooth that out. And what it's going to do is it's going to glue across here, but then it's going to be open here. Like that. And it's going to be glued across here and open there and open there. Now, once again, like I said, you can see that white hole or that open hole right there. We're going to take care of that in just a bit. The first thing that we need to do though is, well, you know, I don't know if it's the first thing. We could go ahead and do this other part first. I'm going to take some of this green embroidery floss. I have a journal coming up that is going to be lime kind of themed, but more green themed. Lime just happens to be the incidental color, maybe secondary theme for it. And these 3 holes that we had to punch both ways through, or through both layers in order to make them match, we're going to incorporate by making it look like a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And to do that, I take my embroidery floss and I take my tweezers. However you want to do it, if you want to thread this up on a needle and thread, by all means go ahead. Since I'm just going through this layer of cardstock, I'm not worried about it being tight. It's more decorative than holding it together. It's not like it is binding it. And so I will do a pretend pamphlet stitch. It's exactly the same kind of stitch. It's just not holding it together. That's why I say it's pretend. Let's see. Let's get this across here. And pull it through this hole. And pull that through. And then for the last hole, lay that across there, pull the tweezers through, pull the thread through. All right, now at this time I would go ahead and make it as even as you want your ends to be. And go ahead and do an overhead knot. Overhand, not overhead, overhand knot. Doesn't have to be super tight. You can tighten it as much as you want. Just be sure that you don't tear into your holes there by being a little overzealous with tightening it. All right, so we will leave that for just a moment. Now we can go ahead and pick out our tags that we want to fill the pockets with. And I have chosen a few that I think will go with this zigzag green color. So now I just need to decide which ones I actually want to use. I think I like that one. And maybe that one. This is where you get to play a little more with your colors and such. And also, I have another size tag that is this exact same shape, but it's smaller. I think it's an inch. And so I will just pull out some of these if I like the way that they look with that background tag. I should actually add some of these to my Etsy shop, I think. If you would be interested in something like that, let me know. I may glue that one onto that tag and just make that a tag unto itself. Let's see. We'll do this. Move that out of the way. You can add as many tags as you would like. To this. Let's see. Now that one has too much blue by the time I get done with all of that. Let's see. On this one, I made a layered tag on the orange one over here. And I put a solid tag back here. I layered a vellum tag over the top. And I put a washi sticker on top to create this layered tag. I don't know. Let's see. Do I want to try doing that on this one? No, I think maybe that's a little too busy. So let's see. And sometimes you may just have to do trial and error. Okay, I like that because that one is already there. And I think that's going to be enough tags. I don't know. Let me see what I think of this. I'll probably do that because that's 3 tags. Even if I make this one into the one tag so that it looks like it's framed by gluing that just in the center there, I think that's 2 and 3 tags in each pocket. And I think that that is plenty. I will take each of these tags and using my 1/8 inch punch, I will punch a hole in the top. And how I determine where to punch the hole in the top, I call these the shoulders of the tag. That's where it first comes in. And I will draw a line visually across there and I will just punch right in the center, and that is where my hole looks best, I think. All right, this one I'm going to go ahead and glue. I think I'll punch it first and then I will glue it. You can tell I punched this from a book. And I punched it sideways. See how the letters go? But the image on the other side does not look like it's sideways. All right, now I am going to take some of this same embroidery thread, embroidery floss, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to cut a 5-inch section. For each tag. I'm trying to decide. I think I may actually layer these two and tie them on the same string. It won't be glued, so it will hang down differently. And again, I'll use my tweezers to help pull that through. Maybe. This is a much smaller hole, I think. No, it's the same size. Why am I having trouble getting that through there? Okay. And then I will just tie, is this called an overhand knot, where you just go around and through? I think it's called an overhand knot. If I'm wrong, feel free to correct me below. And I'm going to leave enough room that there's some give, some play. And I'll go ahead and put that in there, and I'll let the small tag hang over the front. And I will repeat that process with each of the remaining tags. Okay, so on this little one, I decided to tie a bow just to give it a little bit of a different look. I'm going to come back, trim off the excess, what I feel like looks like excess anyway, from the tags. There it is. I couldn't find the string that I was sure I had cut for that small one because it got tangled up there in those others. All right, now on the orange tag, I took a piece of fabric and a couple of pieces of the embroidery floss, and I tied them together to make the topper. And here I think that this will work pretty well. And I'm going to try, see if this works. I'm going to try tearing it down the middle because I don't need it to be quite so fat. Oh, that worked really well. Okay. And so I'm going to take that and I don't know, a couple of 7-inch pieces of 7 or 8 inch, somewhere in there, pieces of the embroidery floss. Okay. And I'm going to pull them through. On this one, I pulled it straight through just like I did on all the little tags. On this one, I think I am going to pull it through and do, I think, what is called the Lark's head, which is just where you take this loop and pull it through the hole, and then you feed all these other tails that are left by pulling it through the hole through the part that you already took through. I don't know if that makes sense. I may have just been confusing. If you look at what I'm doing, you will recognize most likely what it is that I'm doing. If you go by my words, it could be ultra confusing. All right. I like that. It's a little long. I'll trim it off in a little bit. Now, for these strings, I made dangles just like you would on a signature tie, since this is what would be the center of the signature. And sometimes you would put these things on the signature ties. I'm going to do the same thing here. And since this is for a future journal and I don't yet know just what I'm going to do in a precise way, I have an idea, but I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim that just a little bit. I'm going to take this and my pen, and I am going to put glue on here. Take the signature string, that's what I'm calling it anyway, and I'm going to place that on top, making sure that it's aligned. And then I'm going to take some of my little bitty clothespins that I really like to use for things like this and just clamp that on there so that it will be held together as it dries. And then I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I'm going to trim it off just a bit. No precise measurement on that, I just eyeball it. And then I will add some glue. If I can get the glue to come out of the bottle. I need to refill my bottle. I go through this glue like crazy. Let's see, let's stick that in there, and then we will stick that on the top, get it aligned. And grab some more of my little mini clothespins here. I will link these below. I use them so much for so many things. All right, and one last thing on this tag, I have some decoration on the back. I have put a feather die cut and a piece of mulberry paper and some bling down the middle just to finish that off. I also added some bling that matched on the front. Okay, I kind of like this, and I only need, what is this? Let's see, not even a ½ inch wide strip of it. So I'm going to set this to the side and get my cutter up here. And let's see, there's a ½ inch. I think that will work. See, if we go this way, I can cover up that orange, or I can just tear it off. I really don't need any orange in it. Right, so I can do this, and I had this strip here. Do I want to try putting that down here? Maybe a little bit. All right, let's cut off a bit so we can create a collage here. Oh, and when I was pulling that apart, I kind of like the way it gathered up, so I'm going to leave it gathered up like that. Yep, I like that. And I had this little roll, very small roll. It was only 25 cents on clearance at, I believe, Hobby Lobby. Take just a little bit of it. And to go along, I'll tuck that under. I'll tuck that end under. Go ahead and pull that here, and I'll lay that over. Bring this on up. I think that works. And then I have this little quote here that I'm going to put across the top. Yep, that makes me happy. All right, so we are going to glue the top part of this down. I know I want to tuck that under, so I'm not going to glue the whole thing down. Let's move those out of the way. There's that. And go ahead and glue the rest of this down. Tucking this up under, and this comes over. There we go, just like that. And now that actually goes top to bottom. So I will go ahead and put a thin little layer all the way up and down here and over that piece of fabric, since this is what will be holding it in place. Oh my goodness, I can't keep a hold of it. I'm going to add a little glue under this curve here just to keep it where it's supposed to be. Now, I want to put this right across the top, but I think I need to add some glue because it's going over fabric and over some bulk. There we go. I think I'd like a button or something there, but I don't know that I have anything. Let me look real quick. Okay, so I have this sticker. It's a chipboard sticker, and I think it looks really good right there. I'm going to add some glue to it. It is a sticker, but again, it's going over a whole lot of bulk fabric and some crocheted lace, and I would just like to make sure that it actually sticks. And about this time I can take off my clips here. I'm not going to put anything on these circles right now. Like I said, I already have a whole lot of very specific things going on with the back here and with the tags in the front. I would like to give myself a little leeway, like on the front of this plain tag and this plain tag, and on these little tags, to add to the look the way I would like. I turn that down just a little bit and fray the ends. And I'm going to take my tweezers, and you could use a pointy tool, you could use a needle, not a pointy tool, a pokey tool, or a needle, or anything. You could leave the embroidery thread wound just as it is. I kind of like it spread out just a little bit. I feel like it gives it an extra dimension and maybe just a little element of messiness, because I have that element of messiness myself. Let's see, do I want to... I am going to add just a little bit of this lace across the bottom so that I can tie the front to the back. Make it cohesive. So I will cut that real quick. I ended up not using this washi tape. I may still come back. That may be the element that I add to the blank tags. Don't know for sure. But there we go. There is my Tag Tuesday for the week. And here is the prototype once again. And I'm going to tuck the tags in. This one goes in the bottom. This one I believe I had up here, but I had the vellum layered over the front. This one was in the center. Pretty sure anyway. And this one was in the bottom behind that tag. I think that's the way it was. If not, it's fine. I like it. This tag's a little wider, so I have a few more of the mini tags in it. And there you go. These are my pocketses. It has pocketses tags. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you were able to craft along with me, or at least learn something or get some ideas. And I appreciate you being with me. And as always, be kind. Bye.